Hare Krishna. So, I decided that we should start having classes on Vaishnava etiquette. Vaishnava etiquette means it deals with culture and ways to behave according to Krishna conscious culture, which we don't know when we become devotees because we have our own culture, right? Which is not really a culture. We just call it culture, but much of it is not really culture. So, there's certain things which are considered auspicious and some things considered inauspicious. Certain things which are considered proper and improper. Just like in the West, we say don't point your finger, it's not polite, right? So on the airplanes they go like that. The exits are here and here. It's not polite, right? So they do that. Yes? Correcto? Yeah. So, and you don't even question. You know, that means this is inauspicious and that's auspicious. So, there are many things which are auspicious and many things which are inauspicious. Proper, improper. Okay. So, whenever you give something or receive something, you use your right hand. Now, in India, you may have seen, sometimes when people give something with their right hand, they'll put their left hand, they'll go like this. Have you ever seen that? Or sometimes you'll see, you haven't seen, but sometimes you'll see you're offering a flower and you'll go like this. They'll put their left hand. Because it's considered that you're giving, by giving with both your hands, you're giving more of yourself. But you're supposed to hand it with your right hand. So they put their left hand on their arm. You'll see that in India if you notice. American devotees don't do that. But Indians will. It's part of the culture. So you're giving with both hands, but the right hand's auspicious. So they put the other hand here. In America we shake hands with the right hand. But the proper way to do it, is both hands. So, in Vaishnava circles, if you wanted to touch somebody, you would shake hands like this, with both hands. Like if you meet a devotee, how do you both put maybe both hands? So, whenever you offer, whenever you give something, whenever you receive something, it's always the right hand. When you eat, it's always the right hand. Left hand is considered inauspicious. I have a question for you. If somehow or other you touch some dog stool on your hand, would you get a tissue and just wipe it? Or would you get some water and wash it? Yeah. So when you go to the toilet and you use tissue and wipe it, no, you use water. That's so in the toilet you need a cup and you use water. Because you're never clean if you don't use water. You're just rubbing stool against your... So if any temple you go to, in the bathrooms you'll see cups. And a cup is so you can clean yourself. And you may notice there's no toilet paper. Have you noticed that? No toilet paper? That's why. The left hand is for that. So you don't give with your left hand. You don't eat with your left hand. Right hand. When the devotees first went to India, they weren't used to eating. Oh, Pallavi says you're able to log into Krishna.com. Let me go there again. It's the etiquette in India that you do everything with your right hand. And so if you eat with your left hand, you're considered like beyond low class. People think, this person has no culture. What's wrong with them? So devotees weren't used to that. So Prabhupada, when he brought them to India, it was kind of an embarrassment because they didn't know how to behave, and they're supposed to be devotees. So he said, when you eat, they kept eating with their left hand, or in Europe they eat like this. They have a fork and I don't know how they do it, a fork and a knife, and Even today, you'll see European devotees eating like this. So Prabhupada told the devotees, sit on your left hand, so you wouldn't use it. I was in India, and my godbrother, he's left-handed, he was on the street drinking something. And somebody walked by and hit him and said, right hand. So this is like, everybody knows this. In India, it's just, Now, like, if you take a taxi and you give him money, he'll always take it in his right hand and give you change. If he's a Muslim, he won't. Muslim will do it with the left. They don't have that culture, but Hindus have that culture. This is auspicious, right hand. Okay? Now, when you're paying obeisances, either to Prabhupada or to the deities, you always pay with your left side of your body towards the deity. So here we have an altar here, we have Vyasa-san here. So here we would pay this direction, because Prabhupada is on our left. Then coming to the altar, we pay this way, with our left side to the altar. And generally, we pay prostrated obeisances, full, laying, flat, except the women. At least in ISKCON, the women used to do it. At some point, somebody stopped them. So in ISKCON, they don't. People have reasons why they don't, but I can't get on Krishna.com, so. You had a question?
Oh, no.
No. Depending on the temple, sometimes if you're doing Guru Puja, then there may not be a place, it may not be appropriate that the women offer obeisances right in front of the Vyasa-san. They may go back. But still, you keep it to the left. That's the idea. I'm just going through this just so I can think of all the things that you may need to know. Okay, listen to this. After offering obeisances to the deities, one should take darshan with great devotion. Darshan means to be in the presence, or to see. But the proper understanding is that the deities are seeing you. So you come in front of the deities so they can see you. Did you know that? Yeah. No, we think we're...
You do it in older devotees. Maybe go right to the altar.
Of course, we want to see the deities. That's natural. But the actual understanding is the deities want to see you. Because We're the enjoyed and Krishna's the enjoyer.
Porque
So we show him.
que se disfruta y Krishna es el disfrutador.
Roll call. Not that we don't want to see the deities,
No
but
es que no queramos ver a las deidades,
we're seeing the deities in the mood of Krishna, I'm here.
pero estamos viendo las deidades en el humor de Krishna, estoy aquí.
One should not, however, look upon the deities full in the face. The proper manner in which one should take darshan is described in the Bhagavatam.
Uno no debe
Start at the feet.
directamente,
You look at the feet, you first look at the feet and you go up.
directamente en la cara, sino uno primero ve los pies y luego la cara.
Prabhupada says,
Prabhupada dice,
Sir, I am your eternal servant. Please let me know how I can serve you.
soy tu
That's the meditation.
por favor, dime.
I mean, when you come in front of the deities, so many things you can be praying for.
Cuando llegan a la presencia de las
Mm.
deidades, hay muchas cosas que pueden rezar.
But yeah, whenever you go to the temple, you should always go and see the deities
Pero
first.
sí, cada vez que vayan al templo siempre deben de primero ver a las deidades.
And then you go, 3 altars, you start on the left, center, right. Pay obeisances to all the sets of deities.
Das reverencias a todas las deidades.
So here in Mexico, you have Gornitai, Madan, Gopal, and Jagannath. So you pay obeisances 3 times. Yes? Okay. Sitting. You want to know how to sit?
No sabemos cómo sentar.
While sitting, one should not expose one's feet to the deities,
Que cuando uno se siente no debe de exponer los pies a las
to
deidades.
Tulsi, the spiritual master.
A Tulsi.
Yeah, if you're wearing a dhoti, then you cover it, or sari. That's,
Sí, sí.
so there's advantages to dhotis and saris. You can cover your feet. One should avoid sitting with one's back to the deities, or the Vyasasana.
Darle la espalda a las deidades.
One time they did
Una vez
a dance or a drama
hicieron
in the
una
temple, and
escena
they had their backs to the deities.
y tenían
Prabhupada was so upset with him.
a las deidades
for doing
porque
that.
estaban muy enojados por hacer eso.
Some temples, they have the speaker's seat in a way where he's almost to the back of the deities. And I don't like that.
Algunos templos tienen este sistema de sonido que está como dándoles la espalda a las deidades. No le gusta eso.
Don't touch your feet. Don't spread your legs. Don't hold your ankles. Don't fall asleep before the deities.
No te quedes dormido enfrente de
That's
las
an active
deidades,
devotion.
no toques tus pies,
Mhm.
no toques tus tobillos.
Well, this is all from Vaishnava etiquette. Is all from Sanatana Goswami,
Esto es de Sanatana Goswami.
and then a lot of those principles that he wrote were put in the Nectar of Devotion.
Y muchos de los principios que él escribió se están en
Here are some things not to do in front of the deities:
Aquí hay algunas cosas que no se deben hacer enfrente
talk
de
loudly,
las deidades. Hablar
quarrel,
fuerte,
chastise,
regañar,
speak harshly or
este,
angrily,
ofrecer,
praise anyone, speak ill names, criticize the demigods, prajalpa,
hablar semidioses,
mundane talk, lie,
plática mundana.
talk to devotees who are chanting,
What did that say? Praise? Praise what?
praise anybody. In other words, only the deity should be praised. Oh, Prabhupada, of course.
Elogiar a alguien más que no sea la propia de su casa.
Dress and appearance.
Vestimenta es
Devotees' clothing must be simple and clean
los
and distinctive so as to remind people of Krishna.
sencilla,
Um,
limpia y distintiva de
cotton, jute,
algodón,
silk, and wool are pure.
algodón, seda,
Everything else is impure.
algodón, seda,
A lot of synthetics out there. Synthetics are considered eternally impure.
plantas. Los sintéticos se consideran
What?
Cotton, silk,
Se-
jute,
synthetics are always impure.
jute.
Oh, que los sintéticos siempre son impuros.
Cotton is purified by water. So-
El algodón se purifica con el agua.
So, if you're doing deity worship,
Si estás haciendo adoración
and your sari or dhoti has been in the bathroom, you have to wash it, because once it goes in the bathroom, it's contaminated. Bathroom is a contaminated area. Never drink water in the bathroom, the water is contaminated. When you go in the bathroom, everything's contaminated. All your clothes. You can't wear them on the altar. So with cotton, you can purify it. Or we wear clothes outside, they become contaminated. So we wash them with water. But silk is always pure, cotton's and wool is always pure. And I think they're purified just by hanging them up outside in the wind, they're purified, even if you don't wash them. I think jute you have to wash also. So, even if you went in the bathroom, silk is pure.
Silk?
You could hang it up and it's pure, yeah. You don't have to wash it with water.
Only silk?
Silk and wool.
La seda y la lana, no tienes que, aunque vayas al baño, no tienes que lavar, o sea, no tienes que lavarla, nada más la cuelgas y ya.
Now, if one's a pujari, which you're not doing deity worship, but if one's a pujari, what you eat in, then your clothes become contaminated. And you can't go on the altar if you bore them. Because eating, touching your mouth, it's considered everything's getting contaminated, even if you don't spill anything on it. Because you have cleanliness and you have ritual cleanliness, and they're different. You might say, well, my dhoti's clean, there's no spots on it. No, but it's been in the bathroom, it's not clean. That's ritual purity and material cleanliness. You can have something materially clean, but ritually impure. So if you eat in it, then you can't go on the altar. People living at home, they may have different standards, but we're talking about standard on the altar in the temple. So ideally, when you go to a temple, you want to go in clean clothes. So ideally, when you go in the bathroom, you take off your clothes, you go in, do your business, then you put them on. Otherwise, they're contaminated. As far as possible. Yes? He knows. For both women, this is from India, so may not apply everything. For both men and women, clothing should be simple and not fashionable and opulent. That's hard for women. We'll say not for women. They like to dress fashionably and opulent. So, in our temples, basically what we would do is you wear a dhoti and a kurta one day and you wash it. But it's not dirty. You wash it, purify it, and you wear it. New one the next day. So in our temples, every day our clothes would be washed, even if they weren't dirty, to purify them. If you can, or as much as possible. What Chaitanya said, a Vaishnava is one whose scene reminds one of Krishna. All devotees must be particular in regard to the following. Tilak. Okay, you put tilak in 12 places. You know that? And each place there's a mantra. You know them? You have the list somewhere? So first you put tilak here and you chant Keshava. Om Keshavaya Namaha. And then 11 other places. And if you are in a situation where you can't wear tilak, you don't have it or you can't wear it, you can chant the mantras. Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Narayana Namaha. You can do that. So purify your body with the mantras, names of Krishna. Brahmacharis and sannyasis must shave their heads once a week. and keep shika. Grihastas may do the same. However, according to their service, they may keep hair short and neat, and if possible, a small sika. Before you get initiated, you have to take it off as a surrender. Buzz it off. Maybe you could sell it, I don't know, make some money. Dakshin. All the devotees who are initiated must wear kanti mala. 3 strands. So when you're initiated, unos, dos, tres. You can wear other tulsi necklaces, but you should wear 3 strands. Devotees who are not initiated, but have been following all the regular principles, desire to take diksha, may also wear kanti mala. Tulsi beads worn around the neck indicate a devotee's surrender to the Lord. Actually, one of the meanings of wearing tulsi is that one is finished with material life. So when you get initiated, it's like a statement saying that you're finished with material life, or at least most of your material life. Or primarily you're finished with advancing yourself materially. Your life is for Krishna consciousness. So there, I don't know if I think I must have explained this at one point. But when you're given initiation, there's 5 purificatory processes that go on. And so one of them is you wear tulsi. And that indicates now you're being initiated and you're giving up material life. So if you still like material life, don't get initiated. If you want to remain in the material world for more lifetimes, don't get initiated. And don't wear tulsi beads. So at initiation, the first things we do is we put on 3 strands of tulsi. And that means we're giving up material life. Sometimes we say it's our dog collar. We're Krishna's dogs. Some devotees also wear other kinds of auspicious malas, made of tulsi or lotus or rope. For example, from Jagannath's Rath Yatra. Or sometimes they make these silk, they're called pavitras, threads, and they put on the deities. Have you ever seen those? And then, devotees can buy them. They're given to the deity. You may wear other things. You're wearing prasadam, basically. You might get a necklace, like deity necklace, like Radharani's necklace, and you wear that. The kanti mala is worn permanently, for the beads protect one from bad dreams, accidents, attacks by weapons, and the servants of Yamaraj. Upon seeing the tulsi mala, the Yamadutas flee like leaves scattered by the wind. So you never remove your tulsi beads. But any other thing that you're wearing, like prasadam, like we're talking about a necklace, if you go in the bathroom, you take it off. If you're wearing a shirt that says Hare Krishna or Jai Radhe or a picture of Krishna, you don't want to take that in the bathroom. You don't want to sleep in it, and you don't want to pay obeisances touching the ground. Anything which is sacred shouldn't touch the ground, because the ground is where everyone puts their feet. Neck beads, yeah. You never take them off.
When you shower?
You never take them off, yeah. The Brahmins have a thread, they never take it off. You never take off your neck beads or your Brahman thread, or you go to hell. I was getting a massage. I took off my neck beads. That was, but generally you don't. But anything which is sacred, which means anything used in Krishna's service, like your notebook, shouldn't be on the ground. The ground is contaminated. And anything that touches the ground, touch it to your head. If you accidentally touch something to the ground, you touch it to your head. So anything sacred shouldn't go in the bathroom, as far as possible. Of course, if you're out in public somewhere, you have to go to the bathroom and you have a Jagannath shirt, you can't really take it off. But whenever you can. Krishna, picture and his name are non-different. So you wouldn't bring the deity in the bathroom, would you? So Krishna's name is Krishna. So you wouldn't write Krishna's name on the ground and have everybody walk on it. Because it's Krishna. And you would paint a picture of Krishna on the ground when everyone could walk on it. So anything, particularly anything which, like your book, has transcendental knowledge in it, so it's sacred. If ever you touch anything with your foot, same thing, you touch it to your head. If accidentally if you ever touch your feet, then touch your head. Your feet are impure. I mean, if anything touches your feet, touch it to your head. If you touch your feet, you should wash your hands. Because if you touch your feet, then you're touching the book, then it's like touching the book to your feet. By the end of this class, you won't be able to do anything. You won't be able to, because you'll do something wrong. Yes.
I have seen that some devotees, when they are buying or receiving some money, they put in their head.
Yeah. Money is Lakshmi, sacred. If you're given Mahaprasadam, sometimes you're given Charnamrita, you go like that. It's sacred, so. Especially, I think, if someone's giving you a donation, you might. Let's go back to let's see if anyone has anything to say. Yeah. How is silk considered pure? Because I forgot. Something about how dirt sticks to cotton and doesn't stick to silk. Same with wool. Something about the material nature of it, that it remains. Jute and cotton get absorbed dirt in ways that silk and wool don't. So you can hang it out in the air, or I think silk, one's purified by wind, one's purified by sun. You don't have to watch. So it's like what water does to cotton, air or sun does to silk and wool. It's just a material thing.
Because in Islam they consider it the opposite, because it's the excretion of the worm.
Oh yeah, the Muslims. Yeah. Mustache and beard. Of course, women don't have to listen to this, unless they're taking male hormones. Devotees who are initiated or preparing to be initiated should not have a mustache or a beard. May be noted, however, in some Vaishnava mosques, men shave their face and head once a fortnight or on a full moon. And in Chaturmasya, they do not shave for 4 months. But our standard is to shave on regular basis. Okay, so there's more on cleanliness here. Fresh clothes should be worn in the temple. Okay, this is important. After one takes prasadam, the area where the plate was kept must be cleared. In other words, like I take on this table, you should immediately wash it with water. Wherever you're eating, you should wash with water. You shouldn't step over prasadam. The place where we take prasadam becomes contaminated. If one steps on that spot, then the feet must be washed. So you shouldn't eat. Now, here's something devotees don't know. If you want to establish a high standard of Vaishnava etiquette, before you eat, you wash your hands and your feet and your mouth. At least your hands. Before you eat, yeah. She's in shock. You shouldn't actually eat, standard, you shouldn't eat with socks. You should wash your feet. But at least we should wash our hands. Sometimes devotees will just take a little water. But the highest standard is mouth, feet, and then also after.
Mouth, just water or everything?
No. Just water. One time Prabhupada said that you should wash your mouth before you eat, not after, because after you eat, you have prasadam. So you shouldn't wash out the prasadam. So you can rinse your mouth and swallow it. One should not enter the temple without having washed one's hands and feet after eating. So a lot of times in India you'll have places where you'll wash after eating, where they'll have faucets for your feet. Now, another interesting thing, which I didn't mention, but in India they have places where you check in your shoes. So you'll take your shoes off and you'll give it to them. But in those areas they have water faucets. Think, why do they have water faucets next to a place where you check in your shoes? Because once you touch your shoes, your hands are contaminated, and then you say, here's my shoes. Now you're going to go in the temple and chant japa with a hand that just touched your shoes. The shoes are contaminated, so you wash your hands. A lot of devotees in the West don't know that, so we'll just go, we'll pick up our shoes, we'll put them on. But in India they won't do that. They'll always wash. See, there's a big difference between Western culture and Indian culture. So a lot of Indians who are not devotees, they'll learn all these things. So even devotees don't know these things. You just put your shoes on and go chant japa. No, you've touched your shoes, your hands need to be washed. Even technically, and then if you put your hand in your mouth, you wash your hands. Your mouth is contaminated. So if by chance you put your hand in your mouth, wash it. Once you take a bath after passing stool. That's standard. You see, because we're so dirty and we don't know what it means to be clean, we think all these things are inconvenient. Right?
Yeah.
Take a bath after passing stool. What you can do, and you go in the bath and just splash yourself because you're contaminated. Just get water and splash. If if I'm in a public place and I go to the toilet, I splash water. Take a shower. Whenever I can splash water on my feet, as much as possible. splash it on my clothes.
en mi vestimenta.
One should not pass air or belch within the temple.
Uno no debe pasar,
One should not enter the temple after touching a dead body or going to a crematorium.
no debe enjuagarse después de un crematorio de quinta.
During your menstrual period, you should not perform deity worship.
En tu periodo menstrual no debes de llevar a cabo adoración a la deidad.
Arti, dressing, cooking, making garlands, any other work that requires, they shouldn't do. Sewing also. And you shouldn't be in physical contact with anyone doing deity worship.
No debes de estar en contacto físico con cualquiera que hace
That means anytime something from inside the body is coming outside the body,
que cuando algo de
you're
tu cuerpo
contaminated.
sale de
So,
tu
even if
cuerpo,
you
está contaminado.
blow your nose,
Si
you need to wash. But it's considered women are contaminated at that time. So,
pero se
if you
considera
touch them, then
contaminado.
you can't go on the altar.
Y si
You
las
have to
tomas,
bathe.
no puedes ir al altar, tienes que lavar.
Mhm. General behavior.
Comportamiento general.
One should avoid all conduct that will bring Guru and Krishna disrepute. In other words, should act properly in public.
Debes de actuar apropiadamente en el público.
This is very Indian.
Que
You have to
sus
take this
públicas
into consideration.
tienen que tomar
Devotees should not wear expensive and flashy looking jewelry.
los
Wristwatches.
de usar joyería.
Jewelry for women must be worn with careful moderation. If at all. This is crazy. And men should preferably avoid all jewelry like gold chains, bracelets, etc.
Se debe de evitar
Men can wear prasadam, yeah.
realmente
See, I'm bona fide. I have a 250 rupee Seiko Casio watch. So I've followed this principle well. You know that story? Someone gave Prabhupada an expensive watch. I told that story? Gave him an expensive watch. And then somebody else came in
Y alguien más entró
and gave him
y le dio
like a cheaper watch. So he took off the expensive and he gave it, and he kept it cheaper. Then somebody came in and gave him a Rolex. So he took off the cheaper, put the Rolex. Then somebody came in and gave him like a Casio. Then he took off the Rolex, gave it away, and wore the Casio. As far as possible, devotees should avoid using any items made of leather,
deben de evitar
knowing them to be the result of animal slaughter. So, technically speaking, it's the same as meat eating,
que
unless you can't avoid it.
usar piel, porque es como
Leather shoes, leather bags, wallets.
carteras, bolsas,
I don't think, generally there's no need.
zapatos. Generalmente
A lot of men who work, dress up, I think they're wearing leather, but you can get non-leather shoes.
Yeah, there's a lot of shoes that seem like leather, but
las
Yeah.
personas que trabajan por
Just go to Payless. You have Payless shoes here?
yeah.
Payless, yeah, Payless?
Yeah.
Payless, I was in Israel, they had Payless. So Payless is where you shop, because most of their shoes are not leather.
Que en esa tienda de zapatos muchos de los que tienen no son de piel.
When one is criticized or offended, one should conduct oneself with dignity.
Cuando uno es criticado o condenado se debe conducir con dignidad.
One should be careful to avoid quarrels,
Debe de evitar riñas.
arguing, and so forth. But he must be careful in dealing with the opposite sex. What does that mean?
Debe de ser cuidadoso
It means that
con el
you-
sexo opuesto.
You're respectful,
Que eres respetuoso,
you're not loose, you're not unkind,
que no eres
you're not,
grosero,
you're not overly affectionate,
que no eres
unless it's your mother or your sister or your wife, but talking about women in general.
pero habla de mujeres
Overly affectionate in a,
sobreafectuosas,
well, particularly
afectuosas,
between brahmachari and brahmacharini.
particularmente entre brahmacharis y brahmacharis.
But sometimes we've even found that
Pero a veces encontramos también
married men,
que los hombres casados,
you think, okay, the man's married or the woman's married, but if they're not careful, that can also evolve into something
si los hombres son
more than just a formal relationship.
puedes decir, pues está bien, pero debe uno tener cuidado porque eso puede desarrollarse a más de una relación formal.
To touch someone with one's foot is offensive.
Tocar a alguien con su pie es ofensivo.
If one has to walk past seated devotees in the temple,
Si uno tiene que pasar por
one should extend one's hand to indicate that one wishes to go.
debe de extender
And they will move their knees to let one pass. Have you seen that in India?
Yeah.
se van a
That's
mover,
just
mover sus
part of etiquette. You want to go through, so you're going like that rather than walk into them.
le haces así para
If you ever accidentally bump into a devotee, then you touch them and let's excuse me for bumping into you. You've seen that?
Yes,
Yeah.
here.
Except for the lines at train station.
que si
Except at the
es-
lines of train, but in the temple, yeah.
Pero apenas por accidente una devota, le haces así, le haces así como de respeto, de perdón.
Attending class. No snoring during class. It's very distracting for the speaker if you're asleep.
No roncar en la clase. Porque eso no se sigue muy bien.
Attending arati. Honoring prasadam. Okay, that's good. Prasadam doesn't just refer to food, it refers to
No solo se
garlands, flowers,
a la comida,
charnamrita,
nada,
chandan, ghee lamp,
flores,
tulsi,
dulce,
anything which is offered to the deity.
cualquier cosa que se ofrece a las deidades.
One should not respect prasadam by stepping on it or leaving it in an unclean place.
Uno no debe respetar el prasad dejándolo en un lugar sucio o pasando encima.
After being respected, such as garlands and flowers,
Como flores y
they may be disposed in a river, a lake, or the ocean. Rather, ideally, rather than thrown in the garbage because it's sacred, the ocean will benefit. Devotees accept prasad flower garlands by touching them to their head, wearing them, and smelling them. Or, if you get a flower, you can put it in your ear. Prabhupada did that. Someone gave Prabhupada a prasadam flower and they put it in his ear. They accept prasad tulsi garlands simply by touching them to the head and smelling them, but not wearing them. Drinking the water bath of Vishnu is powerful enough to destroy the effects of 1,000,000 sins. It's Charnamrita. Listen to this. However, the person who lets even one drop of the sacred bathwater fall on the ground must suffer 8,000,000 such sinful effects. Don't worry about translating that one. The main thing is it's offered, it's bathwater offered to Krishna, so it's very.
But if you drop
Don't drop any on the floor. If you want to be really paka, then you can take it like this with 2 hands. Again, using both hands. It's like you're offering with both hands means more, or accepting with both hands. So here's a shloka. The water from the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna bestows pure loving devotion to them. Having drunk that water with great joy and devotion, I hold that water upon my head. There's no Payless in Antonio said there's no Payless in Mexico. Is that true?
Yeah, no, there is
Mexico's big on leather, right?
yeah.
Should get rid of all your leather.
Que se deben deshacer de toda su piel.
Well, I think it's it's just yuck. You know the word yuck?
Yeah, that's an expression.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guácala. Ew. Ew. Cállate un poquito.
Ghee lamp.
La lámpara de ghee.
In our temple, the ghee lamp is brought to Prabhupada first,
La lámpara de ghee se
then the assembled devotees in order of seniority.
pone primero a Prabhupada y luego los devotos reunidos.
But you may not know the seniority of all the devotees. But generally like the sannyasis,
Y primero pues
older devotees will get it
los
first.
los devotos mayores.
Another type of prasad is deity clothing.
Otro tipo de prasad es la ropa de la deidad.
We can frame it,
Lo pueden
or we can wear it.
lo pueden usar o lo pueden marcar.
Sometimes you see kids
A veces
wearing-
los niños
wearing like dresses, deity clothes.
vestidos de la deidad.
We were fortunate to get Lord Jagannath's toothbrush from Jagannath Puri. It's a stick about this long.
Que tuvieron la fortuna de tener el cepillo
They have that on our
de
altar.
Jagannath Puri y lo tenían en el altar.
Then the devotee brought us a cloth,
Un devoto les trajo
a flag that was on the chakra of the Jagannath temple. So anything in connection with Krishna is prasadam. Devotees used to, when Prabhupada's head was shaved, and the devotee who shaved the head would keep the hairs and he'd give it to devotees. And they'd keep the hairs. Prabhupada was kind of surprised that they did that.
que Prabhupada estaba los devotos agarraban la cabeza y les daba su pelo.
Se los daba a los demás.
I think one devotee had one of Prabhupada's tooth fell out, and he had a Prabhupada's tooth in a kavacha or something.
Una vez se le cayó un diente a Prabhupada y uno de los devotos lo tenía colgado,
Handling sacred items.
cargándote de artículos
Well,
sagrados.
we went over this, but we'll read again.
Lo vamos a leer otra vez.
Books,
Libros,
beads,
libros, cuentas,
kartals
cartales,
should not be kept on the
no
floor
se deben de poner en el piso
or in unclean places,
o en lugares que no estén
and
limpios.
should be respected.
Deben ser respetados.
One should not touch one's feet to anything sacred,
No se debe de tocar el pie con
or to use one's feet to do what one could do with their hand.
o hacer
So that means feet means you're disrespecting.
algo
Like,
con-
there's a box there. You move it over with your foot. No.
Por ejemplo, si hay una caja aquí, muévela con tu pierna.
If a sacred object falls to the ground or one's foot, one should quickly pick it up and touch it to one's head.
Si algo se cae, rápidamente debe de agarrarlo uno para no tocar.
One should not
Permitir que toque los pies.
One should not step over libros,
Uno no
devotos,
deslizar,
prasadam,
pasarse sobre
le
prasadas,
flor,
libros,
flowers,
o flores.
flores, Spanish, le flores. You understand out there? Books, they didn't know. You should step over books, devotees, prasadam,
Devotos,
flowers, anything offered to the Krishna.
Cualquier cosa ofrecida a Krishna.
All sacred articles should be kept in a clean place.
Todos los artículos
Should be handled with care. Should not be tossed around. Hey, here's the Bhagavatam.
deben ser aventados y deben ser cuidados.
Sacred items like beads, books, tilak, etc. should not be taken into the bathroom.
Como las cuentas, mentiras, no se deben de dejar.
Harinam chatters. The holy name is printed. It should not be touched to the floor. So if you're wearing one, you pay obeisances, you hit the floor.
Santo nombre no deben de tocar el piso.
One should be careful that one's bead bag doesn't hit the floor when one pays obeisances.
Uno debe cuidar de que la bolsa de yapa no toque el piso cuando uno da sus reverencias.
If one touches one's hands to the floor or anything unclean, one should wash his hands before touching deity paraphernalia. Even if you're cooking and you do that, wash your hand. Not to speak of touching your mouth. But let's say you're cooking and you sneeze, you wash your hands. Anything inside is contaminated. Personal habits. One should rise early in the morning, preferably before the Brahma Muhurta hour, which is 1.5 hours before sunrise. Prabhupada says, the time early in the morning, 1.5 hours before sunrise, it's called Brahma Muhurta. During this Brahma Muhurta, spiritual activities are recommended. Spiritual activities performed early in the morning have a greater effect than in any other part of the day. Okay, this is what you do when you wake up. Number 1, brush your teeth. Number 2, take a bath in cold water. Did you know that? Yeah, he knows that because he lived in the temple. Right?
Even if it's
It doesn't have to be cold, 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 cold. But it's to wake you up. It's a good austerity also. Wake up and take like a 20-minute hot shower. And go chant my rounds. If it's too cold, it's not healthy. I was in England, I had cold showers there. Freezing. Then I got sick. Bath should be taken after rising in the morning, long naps, passing stool, excessively perspiring, or becoming contaminated in any way, like going to a crematorium. If you want to maintain a high standard of purity, that's what you do. Nails should be kept clean and clipped. Nail clippings should be thrown in a dustbin. The nails are in the dustbin or down the sink or in the toilet. Not on the ground. Brahmin initiates should wrap their sacred threads around their ear while using the toilet. Because all the demigods reside in your ear lobe. So, you ever see that in India? Someone's going to the bathroom and put the thread in their ear? No. Wash hands after drinking water. And Prabhupada said that.
Why?
Because anything that goes in your mouth contaminates your... When you put something in your mouth, water, food, anything, wash your hand. That's why we take Charnamrita, then we wash our hand. Even if you drink water like this, I mean, you're giving Bhagavatam class, you can't wash your hand. But in general,
It means like just water and film and
just water. The water's purifying. Like this morning I was drinking from my bottle, right? But I don't touch the bottle, and after I drink I take a little water. Just a drop of water. Wash hands, feet, and mouth before and after honoring prasadam. Do not spit while eating. Tell that to George Bush. Huh? Do not spit on water. Sannyasis should bathe 3 times a day. Grihastas and brahmacharis twice a day. So in theory, like in most temples, you'd have service all day and everyone would go to the evening program. So you would bathe before you go to the evening program because you've been out all day. So you purify your body. Bathe after shaving, copulating, or going to a crematorium. One should take rest for about 6 to 6.5 hours every night. Too much sleep or too little sleep is not good for our Krishna consciousness. Okay, listen to the next one. This is a good one. One should try to sleep on the floor or on a hard surface. Luxurious soft beds should be avoided. Don't sleep on your stomach. Of course, if you're sleeping on the floor and you stay awake all night because you can't sleep and then you can't do service, you better get a luxurious bed so you can sleep. But especially Mahatma said, sleep on a luxurious bed. These things apply more to brahmacharis, strictly speaking. Especially when you get older, you have bad back and this and that. One should not waste Krishna's energy, like soap, toothpaste, electricity, water. Soap, toothpaste, water. One should turn off the lights and fans whenever and wherever they are not required. So Prabhupada was in Mayapur and there was a fan on in a room and the room was locked. And Prabhupada said, what's this craziness? He was really upset. One should spend Krishna's money discreetly. Krishna's money. Only what's necessary. Okay. Has anybody fainted yet after hearing all these instructions? Pallavi says nails should not be cut in the evening.
Que las uñas no se deben de cortar en la tarde.
Can women wear harinam scarves? Yes.
Que si las devotas pueden usar máscaras de jarna, sí.
So it's 8:30, so we'll stop. You can digest this today, and then we'll give you more tomorrow.
Podemos dar un poco más mañana.
Okay, any questions?
Más camas con el nombre.
Don't tell this to people when they're first coming to the temple, because they'll never join. When you, if you live in an ashram, when you come in the ashram, there's so many rules and regulations that they tell you. Don't do this, don't do that, because there are different standards. So somebody could go crazy if they get too much too fast. In theory, you should even wash the place you sleep. If you have it sleeping on a sleeping bag on the floor, then you wash it when you wake up. Guru Nishta. See, Guru Nishta is from India, so that a lot of these things you just learn in India. Or if you're in if you grow up in a Brahmin family, you learn all this. This is Brahminical culture. In a Brahmin family, they'll have a sink for their dirty dishes, and they'll have a sink for cooking. They won't use the same sink. They won't use the same cloth for washing pots that they cook for and plates. Your plates are contaminated. Contaminado? The platos contaminado? Yeah. Or sometimes you'll have the left sink for your own plates and the right sink for the deities. Like in Mayapur, we have separate sinks. This sink, here, just the way you wash the dishes, and there, just for the deities. Cooking. Yeah, every Brahmin's house will be like that. And some Brahmins, when they're doing deity worship, they'll pour water on their cloth. So as long as it's wet, it's clean. They're always pouring water on it. Rachman? Wow, high standard. Okay, any questions?